Hello everyone, welcome to the panel, everyone in the audience. This is Marco and
Maria.
This is Maria, sorry.
Maria Laura, but it's very long. Maria is okay.
So welcome. Give a big hand.
Thank you.
I'm Joel from Trip, where I'll be guiding this panel for the duration. So I guess I want to talk to you. The first question is one that I'm sure you've been asked a million times. Working as husband and wife.
Oh yeah.
Is there any rivalry between yourselves as artists?
Vuoi rispondere tu o io?
Com'è? Molto?
Hai detto c'è qualche rivalità tra di voi, essendo un marito e moglie che lavorano insieme, che lavorano solo...
No, pari spunti,
okay.
vai.
No, there isn't. Well, okay. Well, there isn't a rivalry because he's my mentor. So
yes.
it's like our relationship was born in this way. So it's we help each other, and even if I'm the student, sometimes he asks me for advices, and I ask advices to him. So it's it's a sort of collaboration. Even if we don't work strictly together, he works for DC Comics at the moment, and I'm working for Dynamite. And we help each other, so it's good.
Yes.
Yeah, and we work in 2 different studios.
Oh, okay.
To save our lives.
Yes.
Absolutely.
In case it gets a little bit unpleasant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. A bit of friction.
Same house, different studio.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So I mean, you retrained, didn't you? Your background was something very different. I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
What made you change? What was the reason for the shift for you as a career?
Oh, well, that's very interesting because I took a degree in foreign languages, but I had to practice more, of course, because I just took a degree in literature. So it's,
okay.
I went to Lucca Comics
yes.
In 2008 with my friends, and we were very happy to go. But when I came back, I was crying because I saw a lot of people. I talked to people
yes.
who did this for a living.
Yes.
And since there is not a lot of information about it, I didn't know that a lot of people would do this as a job. So when I learned this, I was like, oh my god, I chose the wrong path. I have to change. So I went home. I went back home.
Yes.
And I talked to my parents. Okay, I want to be a comic artist. And my mother was like, oh no, okay, it's just a period. It's okay.
Just a phase.
It's just a phase.
Yeah.
It's just a phase. Okay. And then I met Marco, and I attended 2 years of International School of Comics, and then I went on with Marco, and then I started working. And yeah, this is my story.
Wow, that's an interesting story. It is.
Long story short.
Well, no,
Yeah.
that's fine. So I mean, obviously, it's interesting that. Say, I guess about 10 or 15 years ago, European creators were not as common in American comics, but, things shifted and you've got people like Simone Bianchi and yourselves and a load of other very talented artists.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think the environment has changed to be more receptive for European artists to work in US comics?
Sto chiedendo perché molti artisti europei lavorano per gli Stati Uniti a un certo punto.
Sì, praticamente sì.
But first of all, sorry for my bad English. First of all,
No, it's fine.
but I think that the big change is about the technological change, because once if you work from Italy for the USA, it was difficult to be productive, to respect the deadline, because of you have to send the original art to the USA, and it took a lot of time. Instead, since we have internet, we have all the way to send digitally the work, it became simpler. After that, I have to say that in Europe we have very good artists. We have a very different way to make comics in Italy, for example, because, for example, in USA they make books long 20-22 pages, and they have to run a lot to close a book every month.
Yes.
And sometimes this is not so good for the quality of the work, I have to say. In Italy, we are used to make book longer.
Big graphic novels that 80 to 100 pages or more, 200
about
pages.
100 pages.
Yes.
For a book, and you spend 6-8 months to make it, and it's a it's a different way to work on comics. More I can say more complex, more
Yes.
complete, because you have to work without colors, so you have to make the pages only in black and white. So you have to understand very well the chiaroscuro,
Cool.
the
So different
volumes.
color schemes.
Yeah.
And things.
Yeah, it's very important. So I think that the technique is more complete
Yeah.
from
Well-
some point of view. Told this, when you work in colors, you have to think that your work will be colored. So you have to use the chiaroscuro in a different way, less black.
So you're looking at the gaps that be filled in by the colorist who will be
Yeah.
coloring your work.
Yeah. But I think that if you have a good knowing of the chiaroscuro, of the inking, of a complete process of the drawings,
Yes.
you can do a better work.
Yes.
Better work.
Yes. I mean, I guess a question for both of you is the difference between working, you've answered it a little bit, between working in Italian comics and working in US comics. They are, as you say, different beasts. I mean, what are the pros and cons for both of you working as an artist in US comics versus working in Italian?
Ok, vado prima io poi te, così io...
Ridimmi, non
Praticamente qual è la differenza, i pro e i contro di lavorare
Ok.
nel mercato americano e nel mercato italiano.
Ok.
Più o meno l'hai già introdotto. Vado io così?
Vai.
Well, I've never worked for Italian comics. Well, I did only 6 pages
Oh, okay.
at the beginning of my career.
Yes,
so
yes.
it was 2013. Oh my god! And oh my god! And being his wife,
Yes.
let me see a lot of things, a lot of
Yes.
differences. For example, for Italian comics, it's very different from American comics because the story itself is very different.
Yes.
The characters are very different. It's more historical oriented, so it's very it has less fantasy, you know.
Yes.
And so you have to make confrontation with the reality. So it's very, very difficult. For example, the editors are very severe, are very, very precise. Because, for example, if the gun is not that one for that,
It's not correct, they'll say to you,
yeah,
this is
it's
not the right
correct.
gun.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
and it's very difficult, very difficult. And working for American comics requires a lot of skills too.
Yes.
Of course, but the topic is totally different.
Yes.
They are more superioristic, and more. There is more action.
Yes.
Okay.
More freedom.
It depends. Yeah, more freedom. More
Yes.
freedom. Of course, you have to respect
Oh, wow.
the physical appearance of a specific character.
Yes.
So if you're not good in action, it's very difficult that you can work for American comics. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's
You have to be able to create kind of action-packed scenes and make things move.
Yeah.
There's a lot of more kind of kineticism and
yes,
things
yes.
moving.
The acting is exaggerated. You have to
Yes.
exaggerate a bit.
Yes.
While in the Italian comics, they don't want too many. They are more anxious, you know.
Yes.
They don't want many changes.
Sometimes
yeah.
it's too much realistic in
It's
Italian,
too-
but
yeah,
it's
it's
good
realistic.
to improve your skills.
Yes.
Because when you have a good base, you can draw the reality in a very good way. You can start to exaggerate it and
Yes,
make
of
something
course.
more dramatic, more.
Yeah, for example, in Italy, don't want to tilt the camera, for example.
Yes.
And it is very appreciated in the USA. So
Yes.
they want movement, they want
Yeah.
emotions, so feelings. So it's like
Well, in Italy, for example, especially for the publisher I've worked for, they don't want that you may make a different layout of the page. You always have
Standard has to be standardized.
Yes,
basically.
you have
fixed case.
So
always.
you can't break panels. You know that some American comic artists, like someone like J.H. Williams III, you know, and obviously Eisner did it. So you break panels and
Yeah.
you play with the pages. So Italian publishers, they wouldn't want you to do
Yeah.
that, and you wouldn't
No.
work that way.
They
for
want
Italian.
always the same kind of layout.
Yes.
Three strips divided
Yeah.
in 6 panels.
Oh, okay.
Always. You
Yes.
can. Usually you can't change it.
Yes.
And instead, for American comics, the part of the layout of the page is
Yes.
a specific
Yes.
work of the artist. It's,
Yes.
it's your choice, and this is a big difference, for example.
Yes. I was going to ask you about the difference between, say, covers and interior work, which obviously are very different because you've both done cover work and you've also drawn interiors. What are the pros and cons for you as artists between the two?
La differenza tra le cover e le pagine interne.
Sì, quello
Well, I started as a cover artist, so now I'm doing interiors too.
Yes.
The difference, the main difference is in telling a story.
Yes.
Well, with the cover, you tell a story with just one image.
One image illustration.
And for the pages are more cinematic.
Yes.
So this is the difference, and sometimes the difference is also for the deadline. For example, you have a week to do a cover,
yes.
and you have a week to do 7 pages.
Yes.
So it's very well. Of course, you have to be faster if you draw pages.
Do you have a preference for cover or interiors, or do they both do something different but equal for you as an artist?
I love them both. I love them both. Well, the great thing for me would be, I already did it for Dynamite.
Yes.
Would be doing both.
Yes.
I have my own series doing everything. So, except colors, of course. But I'm working with very good colorists.
Yes.
So, and I really like doing both covers and interiors. So, and in the same series possible. So I do everything.
Okay.
Dr. Evil. It's like that. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. So, okay, Mark, why?
And for me, it's similar. I love working on interiors and covers too. Even if I'm more an interior artist actually, because I really like the sequential part.
So you like telling the story?
Yes. Obviously, you can tell a story also with a cover.
Yes.
But it's different. I look at the comics just like the way I look to the movies.
Yes.
For me, I think to the comics in the exactly way.
So cinema, it's like watching a film, but it's on the page.
Yeah. For me, I like to think about it in
He's a
that
film
way.
director.
Okay.
Like a director, yeah. So maybe I prefer the interior work.
Yes.
But obviously the cover art, the cover work is funny because you can spend more time to do more particular,
to detail, like attention to detail. You can spend more time.
Things more detailed.
It's more relaxing.
Yes. Oh, obviously, you've both done a lot of license work as well. Drawing kind of characters from well-known sort of film series and things. Obviously, you've done Star Wars and you've done licensed product. Yes, exactly. So, how do you feel about drawing these characters? I mean, obviously, with something like that, you have to get it approved by either the film studio or the television studio.
Yeah.
What are the challenges of drawing licensed characters for both of you, for yourself and also for Mocha?
Ok.
Vuoi farmi tu?
No, prima te perché ci ho lavorato proprio in specifiche cose.
Okay. Well, the workflow when you work with a license story is a little bit longer because you have to wait for the approval. Sometimes it takes
give them
long.
a rough sketch and they go, we really like this, or we want some changes.
It depends from the licensor. Sometimes they want to see the finished product, but sometimes when the product is finished and colored, sometimes you have to change it. So I have to rechange it and to send it to the colorist. And
do you work digitally? Do you work digitally or?
Well, it depends. I work digitally and traditionally, but to do pages sometimes, yes, I work digitally because sometimes when I got corrections, I have to correct.
It's easier to correct.
Yes, it's very faster.
Yes, of course.
The covers are very good for selling original art.
Of course.
And so I try I do my best to do them manually. So yes.
Okay. What about you, Mocha, for the licensed?
Oh wait. Usually I worked on characters. Yes, that became movies sometimes, but they usually was about Marvel or DC Comics. So the workflow is simpler. There is only an editor that tells to you if the work is okay or not. So for me, it's very simple.
But something like you've done some Star Wars.
No, never Star Wars.
Oh, my mistake. Forget
that.
No. Scratch that.
Yeah, well,
rewind that.
He did some illustration. We did some illustration, but just for fun.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Oh, it wasn't commissioned. It was just for.
I wish to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, fair enough. So with the licensed properties, obviously it's a different beast to drawing either an original story I mean, is there extra pressure for drawing licensed stuff? I mean, not even just from the art director, but a lot of these properties they have a huge fan base, a very loyal fan base. So is there extra pressure? Do you feel any extra pressure?
Well, no. The only thing, the fan were very, very good.
Yes.
Well, I remember when I met Holly Marie Combs because
Yes.
I drew a charm that
Yes.
she told me that she was fantastic. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. But she told me your work is fantastic. The only thing is that my tits are not so big.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, I'm sorry. So this is the only.
Do you often get comments like that from your work?
But no, I didn't have any pressure. Any
Oh, no pressure.
Well,
Okay. A little bit,
the only
but-
thing is that the times are longer.
Yes,
so
of
the
course.
production is longer. You have
It
to
takes a
wait.
bit more time. 'Cause you have to get comments
Yeah,
back
that
from,
one. Yeah,
yes.
that part is a little
And
bit.
what about yourself, Mark?
As I said,
Similar.
I never worked on something like this.
No.
So I'm no license or only editors.
Yes, of course.
So obviously you have to think that you are working on big characters, famous characters. But for me, is always a matter of is like a challenge.
Yes.
To make it at the best. Obviously, looking at them with my own eyes.
Yes.
So it's like to make a movie of a specific character with
Yes.
my direction. So I see it in this way.
Do you enjoy pushing yourself as artists? I mean, obviously yourself, you completely retrained from one discipline in a totally different sort of field to something else. But do you still both enjoy pushing yourself and challenging yourself and going, I'd like to take that cover on or take on that job because I've not done anything like this before?
If you don't do that, you cannot do this work.
Yeah.
You always have.
You always have to improve yourself. Otherwise, you start to you stop and your work go down.
You don't grow
Yes.
up. And the thing is that, of course, you have to be aware that your stuff is suitable for that, for
Of
the
course.
production of the publisher you want
Yes.
to work for. But of course, you have to be ambitious.
Yes.
You have to grow up. You have to be willing to grow up, to improve, to get that job, and this is the secret. One of the secrets, of course, to get this job.
Are you very critical of your own work?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Too
A
much.
lot.
Too much.
How do you get over that? You've got a job to do, you've got a week or 10 days or 2 weeks to do it, and you go, I really hate that head, or I don't really like that panel. How do you, or do you just say, are you pragmatic and you go, okay, I've only got a week to do this, I have to get this page in to a standard that you're going to be the most happiest with, even if it's not perfect?
Well, of course, you have to respect the deadline. So you do your best, but okay, next time it will be better. But with the it's like that. Okay, next time it will be better. It's like that. But yes, okay. Then you go and you try your best in the next thing, because sometimes when you see your things done. And after, for example, a week, you look at that. Oh my God, what is that?
Yes,
oh my
it's
God!
always too late.
Yeah, it's always too late. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, do you think, obviously, as I said, there's a lot of European creators working in US comics, but do you think the influence is coming back the other way? That, I mean, obviously there's been a lot of European artists who are fans of US comics, but do you think that US comics has started, whether it influences Italian comics at all, currently? Do you think, in terms of people's work?
If Italian comics is influencing
By US comics,
yes. You know better than me.
as you say.
Cioè,
I
se
fumetti
praticamente
italiani ispirano quelli
sta un pochino influenzando il fumetto americano, tipo...
in generale o nel mio caso?
No, in generale. Io in generale.
I think that in general, just because a lot of European artists started to work for the US
Yes.
market, it's obvious that the European comics, Italian comics, if you want, started to influence American comics.
Yes.
And for example, amongst the various artists that I admire, the best ones, for example, for me are the English artists like Brian Hitch, Alan Davis.
Okay.
That they are my masters for me.
So these are the people that you admired when you started, so for
Yes,
example.
Yeah.
yes, because they they bring in the American comics something more solid,
Yes.
more realistic, and I love it. Especially, for example, Brian Hitch on Ultimates.
Yes.
He did a great work because it wasn't no more a simple just a comics, a simple comic. It was a cine comics.
So cinematic and widescreen.
Cinematic
It's like
comics.
watching a film.
For me, it was a blast when I saw
Yes.
Ultimates, for example.
Yes.
And I think that it's fantastic because they bring something more solid, as I said, in something not realistic.
Yes.
And they blend together.
Oh, okay. I mean, Maria, when you started to train, when you retrained, and obviously because you're both artists, you know, as husband and wife, did you make a conscious decision to kind of tread a slightly different path to him? Was it difficult, you know, when you were becoming an artist, in terms of sort of influences at the beginning? 'Cause I know you've been working for quite a few years now, but at the beginning when you started, did you make a conscious decision to go, I want to do something a little bit different to him?
Well, it's not a decision.
No,
because
Well, who were your influences? You know, when you switched into as an artist, who did you look at for sort of inspiration when you went?
My inspiration
for as a comic artist. Who were your inspirations?
Okay. Well, there is a motivation.
Yes.
Why I choose him as my mentor, because we have this exactly the same. We will look at exactly.
The same.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, he is one of my influences because
Yes.
I really love his work.
Yes.
And I have the same. Well, I follow Alan Davis, Brian Hitch.
Yes.
Other
Chris Weston.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Chris Weston did. Done stuff for 2000 AD. He did stuff for Marvel. He's done that for the Invisibles. He's got very clean lines.
Yeah, clean lines.
So I think that obviously you guys love
Yes.
artists who draw like
And
that.
the strange thing is that being my mentor and being so he's very technical, he's very angular.
Yes.
No, he's very dark.
Yes.
I'm clean
Yes.
and rounded.
Yes.
So the thing is that you choose your mentor, you
Yes.
choose your influences,
Yes.
but then you develop in your own
Yes.
way because
So you transcend the stuff.
Yeah.
And you find your own voice
Yes.
as an artist.
Exactly. Yes.
I guess the way to find that is just to keep drawing. Is that what you did to try and think, I want to say this is my work?
Yeah.
Obviously influenced by other people, but you want to find your own voice. I mean, is that how you developed your work over the years?
Absolutely. I at first, of course, I followed Marco, and I'm still following him. And
Yes.
at first, it was difficult to, for example, to understand the chiaroscuro.
Yes.
Okay, so my line was very clean.
Yes.
And my mentors, he and the other mentors who followed me at the
Yes.
School of Comics, thought that I could work for France because my line was very, very clean. Then I developed
Ligne Claire, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Then I started to use the chiaroscuro, and I started to think, oh my god, I really like it. So I changed.
So you mixed
with
it around a bit.
Absolutely, I changed with it, and if I have a look to the things I drew 2 years ago,
Yes.
it seems another person.
Really?
Really, it's oh my god, it's like it's me.
Yeah.
Is it me? What is that? Oh my god, something like that. So at first you have to learn the basis, and then you will develop
Yes.
in your own way. It's like a river.
Yes.
You have to
Yes.
let it go. Yes,
Yeah.
let it flow.
Well, was
Absolutely.
it quite daunting at when you started? Did you think, have I bitten off more than I can chew? Is this too much for me? Like at the very beginning, say 10 years ago, when you decided to make the change in your career, or did you know kind of at the back of your head that it was something that you'd be suited for as a career?
I wanted it badly,
Yes.
so I was decided to do it, and no matter what, I'm like that.
Yes.
If I want something, I'm like a train. I wanted it, and I remember that I told my father, Daddy, I want to do this job. If I don't get a jig in a year, I will do
anything else.
else.
Okay.
And he said, okay. He said, okay. And after 2 months or a month,
Yes.
I got a jig. So you have to be very determined.
Yes.
And Well, I didn't have any money with me, so
No.
I didn't spend. I spent all the money I had to go to London to meet editors, to talk to hear. No, you're not for us. You have to improve.
Yes.
And
To buy the tools.
to buy the tools.
Of
Yes.
course.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, in terms of advice when you started, how did you approach it? I mean, apart from speaking, did you speak to your mentors and say this is what I want to do? Basically, how is the best way for me to go about this?
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all,
What's the best way for me to do
First
this?
of all, you if you want to do this as a job, you of course ask, do you do this for a living?
Yeah.
It's the classical. Of course, I did it, and he answered, yes, I did. I do this for a living. I still.
And then you say, how do I do this? How do I
Yeah.
become a professional artist? So
Yeah.
you talked to him, and
Yeah,
he gave you
yes.
advice about
Absolutely.
how to develop yourself as an
Yeah,
artist.
I asked advices not only on the technique but
Of course.
also on the approach.
And of course, it's about selling yourself to an editor.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
obviously, if your work,
Yes.
no matter how good your work is,
Yes.
if you can't communicate with an editor and
Absolutely.
sort of show off what you're doing,
Yes, absolutely. It's very important because editors are people like us. So you
Yes.
cannot go there while they're eating in the
Of course.
hotel or they are.
it's not appropriate, or if they're drinking with
You
their
have-
friends or
Absolutely,
something.
Yeah.
you have to be very polite because
Yes.
it's not. You have to learn how to approach
Yes.
to other people. It's very important. Then you have to learn how to introduce yourself.
Of course.
It's like when you get a job, you go you talk to the person.
Yes.
And you start talking.
Build up a rapport with these people.
Absolutely,
And, then,
absolutely. It's job, it's work.
Yes. Oh,
so
yes.
you have to be very professional.
and as you say, you have to behave appropriately. There's no point trying to pitch something to somebody when they're not in the right place, actually physically. For
Absolutely.
you to talk to them because
Yes.
they're with their friends or
Yes.
they're in like a social situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's very, very important, the approach and to be professional because they give the job to you that they must know. They have to know that you are very professional and you serious.
And you can be trusted.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
This is
not,
the, of
not
course.
only a good artist.
Yes,
but
of
But
course
you work
have to do-
professionally.
Yeah,
you
and
have
you know
to
about behaving
respect
appropriately
deadlines.
Absolutely.
with these people.
You have
yes.
to do. You
Yes,
have to
of
be
course.
a good artist, but also a good person.
Yes.
So it's very important.
Yes.
It can be taken for granted, but
No, you're right. It's a very important.
yeah, it's very important. Yes, professionality is the first. It's
Yes.
one of the first things.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So who else do you look at sort of these days as artists? I mean, either for inspirational because you like their work. Is it for both of you? For both of you?
The inspiration
Yeah.
now.
Well, currently, who do you like to look at as artists? Just go, I love their work, or
Ok, quali sono le tue influenze di adesso? Chi è che stai guardando adesso?
Okay, obviously there are a lot of artists. in
I
my
have a new
career.
one.
Aspetta,
Your co-worker. I'm looking at.
Okay.
I'm looking
Yeah.
at a very good artist.
Yeah.
Dale Eaglesham. I
Yeah.
really
he's
love
very
his work.
he's good. He's very talented.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's true because
Yes.
actually I knew him.
He's
only
been around for
bit.
quite a few years, hasn't he? He's been working, but he's very good. He used stuff for Justice Society, I think.
Yeah.
DC, and I think it was the
Doom
90s.
Patrol.
Yes,
He
exactly.
did,
He's just-
Wow.
Justice League. Or
Or maybe it was Justice League.
Justice League
Maybe.
with Geoff Johns, maybe.
Oh, okay. Or maybe yes.
I think so. But obviously now I'm working with him on Shazam, so
course.
I really have the chance to look at his work in a very specific way,
Yes.
and I really appreciate him.
Yes.
In the way he's very so detailed,
Solid.
solid.
Oh my god.
He is very good for the facial expressions.
Yes.
He's very fresh.
Yes.
Very fresh
You know,
and very classic.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
at the same time, he's actually one of these things that he looks like a classic artist, but he's got something new. He brings something new
Yes.
Yeah.
to his
For me,
pages.
the classical style is the best one,
Yes.
especially because it can
You can learn
teach
a lot.
to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
a lot.
I mean, I guess we're talking about classic American artists. I mean, somebody like, I don't know, Joe Kubert, or
Yes.
are you both fans of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
of
yes.
Joe Kubert, of course?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love, for example, John Buscema.
Very talented, yes.
obviously
Russ Heath.
Neil Adams.
Of course,
for
yes.
example. They are the basics of my style. Just like, for example, another Italian artist like Claudio Castelli.
Of course, again, very clean
He's
lines.
Yeah,
one of the
yeah,
best,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
And there are a lot of artists, Italian artists like Claudio Villa, that is one of the best author of the text.
Yes.
He's a very famous comics
Fabio
in Italy.
Civitelli.
Yes.
Fabio Civitelli, my mentor,
Okay.
my master.
Yes, yes.
Obviously Alan Davis, Brian Hitch, Adam
Also
Hughes.
from Spain,
From Spain.
Rafa Sandoval.
Rafa
Oh yes, he's
Sandoval
very
is
good.
fantastic.
Raphael Albuquerque is very good. A lot looser than sort of your style, but he's a very, he did American Vampire, and he's a very good artist. And he did the Neil Gaiman graphic novel. Is it Studying that something Emerald? It was a graphic novel that Doc was published, but his stuff is a lot looser. But he's a very good artist.
Yeah, I love Sean Gordon Murphy. for
Yeah, he's
example.
very good as well.
It's very different from the way I draw, but I think that you have a very good point. in-
Someone like Sean
Absolutely,
Phillips, obviously, he's
yeah.
an exceptional storyteller.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and he tells, and his stuff, it looks so simple, but there's so much going on behind the panels.
And he's
Yes.
complete.
Yes,
He
exactly.
can do
It's complete,
everything.
and I love his chiaroscuro.
And he's very
absolutely.
young. He's young.
Well, relative. Well,
when I discovered
relatively,
it,
I suppose.
well,
About 50,
it's-
I think.
no, who?
Oh, you must have Sean Phillips.
He's younger than me for sure, but
He's been doing it since he was young. He was a teenager. He used to work on girls' comics in the UK.
Okay.
When he was about
Okay.
15. So he's been doing it a hell of a long time.
okay.
Okay.
So he's. But I mean, I guess it's important to look. You know, if you're working as an artist, to look at kind of the legacy of other artists, to expose yourself to other people's work.
Yeah.
Or you would say that that's important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
To kind of look at
Absolutely.
other people's work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very important.
And not just a particular kind of artist, to
No,
kind of
yeah.
expose yourself to, you know, things like sort of galleries and exhibitions, kind of like classic painters, you know, to look at the history of art overall, to kind of inform what you do as an artist.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely. Yeah,
I mean, do you
that's
look
true.
at, do you try and look at classic, you know, painting and sculpture?
Well,
and, I mean, obviously being Italian, I mean, you're kind
Yeah.
of immersed in it, so
Yeah.
culturally
Well,
speaking.
Well, yeah, I
Well,
think it is important to
but
look
it's
at the
very
classical
important,
art. For
Yes.
example, in the last period, the last month, I started to also to paint.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, because I always worked with black and white,
Yes.
and I thought that I wasn't able to understand the colors.
Yes.
But at some point, I start to feel a need.
How have you found painting?
Uh,
How do you find? Have
Come,
you enjoyed?
cioè, ti piace?
Yeah, I really like it because at some point I start to need to make
Yes.
it because watching to other colleagues like Lucio Parrillo
Yes.
or Riccardo Ferrerici,
Yes.
Alex Ross,
Yes.
this kind of big painters,
Mm.
I was very fascinated by their works. And at some point I started to think I want to do similar stuff, similar things,
Mm.
and
You're
I
trying to reproduce a piece of Caravaggio.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Really?
yeah, yeah.
No,
So do you draw physically on the paper
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than digitally?
No,
Your
no,
work is-
digital.
Yeah.
It's all
No,
digital.
No.
Yeah, it's old style. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that before work on digital, you have to understand
Oh, you're right.
how the things works on the paper, on the real material,
Yeah.
because it's very important.
Yes.
Once you understand it,
We are Italians.
No, it's good. You get
no
excited.
worries,
It's
for
good.
me it's normal. And I think that once you understand how to work on paper or with the real brushes, you can use whatever you want to do
Yes,
the work.
yes.
Because the
And you
digital,
can sell it.
That's true as well.
Tell
Yes,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
No, you
Tell
can sell it
them,
as an
tell them
original.
the truth. You can sell it. That is the
There's
truth.
nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Yeah,
Brian
yeah.
Bolland does digital now. He
Yeah.
switched purely to digital, and so you don't see his originals. Everything original,
Yeah.
you know, ends about. I guess it's about 5 or 6 years, maybe longer, maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame because you can't get the original. But I mean, do you like to push yourself as artists? You know, for example, for you talking about painting,
yeah,
you're pushing yourself because you're doing something you haven't done before. Is that important?
yeah, very
you.
important, obviously. Yeah, obviously.
Very important.
And I think it is important to learn always new things. For example, the painting for me, because it influenced me
Yes.
on the editorial work too,
Yeah.
because I started to think about my black and white work in a different way.
Using the colours as well, or thinking about colour.
I don't know if I can.
Tone, is it talking about tone? You know, like tone of
Yes,
figures.
yeah,
So
yeah.
rather than just black and white, rather than simple line art, you're thinking about how the tones of the muscles,
Yes,
the tones of all the
example.
colours can fit into the figures and into the actual, the landscapes and the cityscapes themselves.
Yeah. You think about the volumes of
Yes.
the characters of the everything in a different way. I think in a more solid way.
Yes.
And so I think it's a good thing to
Yes.
to learn.
I got one more question, and I'm going to open up to a couple of people.
Yeah.
So, what are you currently working on? So, Maria first, and then Mark. What are you currently working on?
Okay.
okay.
Well,
I know you work on a lot of different things.
okay, yeah, very long story. Okay, well, I'm currently working for 2 publishers.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm working for Dynamite and Archie Comics
Yes.
together.
Yes.
They joined together to do a new comic called with a very long name called Vampirella and Red Sonja.
Oh yes,
meet
I think
Betty
I
and-
read about this. Yes.
Vedi and Veronica. So
Yes.
I am the artist
Okay.
and the interior artist.
Yes.
And the story is amazing. It's written by Amy Chu.
Okay.
Oh my God, she's
No, I know.
very
I know her work,
she's
yes.
very talented.
Yes,
The
yes.
story, oh my God, it's really good, and I'm having fun doing
Okay.
it. Yeah, it's
Something different.
Yeah, it's a crossover, and Vampirella and Red Sonja, who normally kill people.
Yes.
Meet these 2 girls.
But it's very different, obviously, because from the Archie universe, obviously, it's very. I know that they've introduced a slightly more realistic style, but obviously, Archie was traditionally a more cartoony.
Yeah.
And obviously, Vampirella and Red Sonja, they're very, very different.
Absolutely.
So when you're an artist, how do you tackle having these 2 sets of characters from very different sort of fields coming together? I mean, is it a challenge? It's obviously a challenge for you as an artist. So they have to look different. I mean, how did you approach that?
Well, I love it because I'm both. I'm both very rounded.
Yes.
My style is very rounded, but I use chiaroscuro.
Okay.
So I can adapt to Dynamite and I can adapt to Archie
Archie,
Comics.
yes.
So they choose me, and so I'm doing both. I'm working with my rounded style and with a chiaroscuro style. So anybody won't be upset. So nobody won't be upset. So it's a challenge. Yeah. But if you want to do this job, you like challenges.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I love working on it. It's 5 series issues. So
okay, cool.
I'm finishing the first one.
Fantastic.
So,
So, Marco, what are you currently working on?
Well, in the last year, I worked on several characters all about DC Comics.
Yes.
I worked on Wonder Woman.
Yes.
I worked on Green Lanterns.
Yes.
On Batman Beyond. And in the last period, I'm working on Shazam.
Of course. So are you co-penciler basically on the book with Dale? Is that how it works?
I do pencils and inks.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I did the second issue
Yes.
of the series, and I worked on a bit on the third issue. I did some pages.
Yes.
I did almost all the 4 issues.
Okay.
And I think on the 5 issue it will be
50-50, so half
yeah.
and half.
And I hope to make a whole complete issue,
Yes.
maybe on the 6 or 7.
Oh, okay.
And that's because we are both not so fast. So
Yes.
we need to help each
A
other.
bit of a gap so you
Yeah.
can catch up.
Yeah.
Speed,
Yeah.
With the speed
So
of the pages.
we have to split the books
Of course.
to bring on the series, and I'm very happy because I have the chance to work on something very detailed,
Yes.
very well done. I have to
Yes.
say, because the scripts are fantastic. Geoff Johns is writing a very funny story.
Yes.
It's very enjoyable story. And I love it.
Were you a fan of Shazam? Were you familiar with the character prior to taking on the book?
Actually, no, because I only knew him only a bit,
Yes.
and I have to say that they changed a lot the character
Yes.
with the rebirth.
Of course, there's the movie as well, and
Yes, and the movie, it will be more about the comics that we are working on right now.
Yes.
So I'm really excited
Brilliant, no, it's
to
very
see the
exciting.
movie.
Yes.
See the movie, because there will be a lot of the elements that I'm drawing so
will be on the screen.
Yeah. Fantastic, really.
So I'm going to open it up to questions. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah,
I think young man at the front.
This is a question I like to ask artists in terms of their working process. Do you have any music playing when you are drawing?
Okay.
And if so, does it complement each other? And if not, what is it that you have? Is it, what style? Is it metal?
Okay.
What kind of music do you?
I sing when I work.
You sing when you work?
I sing when I work.
Oh, really?
Well, I sing everything. Okay, I studied opera when I was younger. I know. I don't sing an opera singer. I'm sorry, but yes, I'm a soprano, and
Wow.
sometimes he's very he's very puzzled because he works downstairs. Okay, I work upstairs.
That's why we have two different students.
Okay, and okay. When I sing R&B, sometimes Metallica. I love Metallica.
Okay.
But I listen to Metallica as well. Okay, metal, absolutely. Rammstein. Okay. Sorry, there is a German guy here. Yeah, sorry. And but I sing opera. I sing everything. So it depends on the thing I have to do. When I do covers, sometimes I listen to when I'm not singing. I listen to movie soundtracks.
Oh, okay.
They help me really to concentrate.
Because it hasn't got any words.
What is
Just
that?
focus on that.
Okay, I thought. Because when we do that, in Italy it's like Pinocchio. Your line,
Yeah, longer, yeah.
it's like it's like that.
That's not what I meant.
Yes. So.
And actually, when I work, usually I listen to the radio. So
okay.
Yeah.
I haven't a good taste
Voice.
for the music, maybe, but sometimes I listen to the soundtracks from the movies.
Or sometimes I get into his studio singing.
Yeah.
So he listens to me.
Sometimes I listen to her.
Sorry.
Yes.
Gentleman in front.
I've probably been reading comics for about 40 years, I suppose, and obviously there's been loads of films now coming out with all this back catalogue. Do artists ever asked to contribute to storyboards in the film process?
Oh no.
Not in our
No,
cases.
no.
Not
But it would be interesting.
It would be really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it would be absolutely.
So who would be doing that? Would they just have their own stock of artists?
It would be great, but we never did
Never.
it.
There are
No,
some.
no, I'm not saying- I'm
There
not
are
saying-
some artists that have been. Chris Weston was used
I
for
was just about
an
to
Akira
say.
film which wasn't made.
Star
Tommy
Wars.
Edwards.
He did Star Wars.
He did do Star Wars. He worked on Last Jedi
Rogue One.
and Jock's worked on Star Wars movies. He's done a lot of work. And what's his? Oh, my brain's not working. Sorry, Glyn Dillon. Just done a lot of work for Star Wars. A lot of the character designs that you see in the recent batch of Star Wars films, a lot of the costumes, they were all designed by Glyn Dillon. And obviously Will Simpson, who was mentioned in Leonard's panel before this, the 2000 AD one, he's worked on. So it does depend.
Is that something that you'd be up for doing? Would you be interested in doing that?
Oh,
Working
absolutely.
film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any particular franchise?
No.
Just anything that comes
We
in.
are freelancer. We are mercenaries.
Work.
So okay,
Work.
give
Yes,
us a
give us
job.
a work.
I'd prefer
I'm
superhero
joking.
movies.
Yeah, well,
obviously,
me
for
too.
my taste, but
No, well, me too.
yeah.
Yeah. We have the same
And
taste.
the gentleman at the.
I was wondering, there's a video game called League of Legends, and they have a lot of lore around this video game, and they also create content like visual novels. And they recently struck a deal with Marvel, so Marvel is now working with them together to develop this lore and this comic style. And I was wondering, as an artist, if you were to be hired to draw those comics, but you don't know about the game, would you start playing the game in order to get an understanding of the characters? Because I mean, we live in a world now where comics are made into movies.
Oh my God.
We live in a world where movies are made into comics, but it is yet to be discovered how we are at the verge of computer games and so on getting turned into movies or into comics. So how would you tackle that?
Oh my God, this is the longest question.
We still got 10 minutes.
I lost about ask the question.
So if
Sorry.
you were supposed to make a comic or
Okay.
create a comic from a computer game,
Okay,
from
okay.
a character from a computer
Oh,
game,
you did Injustice.
Yes,
But for
but
DC Comics,
sì, ma lui stava dicendo se devi fare un fumetto su qualcosa che se ho capito bene,
Che
su
ancora-
qualcosa che ancora non
che
si è
ancora non
visto,
si è visto.
fondamentalmente.
Vale, ci ho capito.
Doveste essere coinvolti in un videogioco su cui è basato un fumetto,
Ok.
sareste disposti tipo per conoscere meglio il gioco a giocarci?
Oh yeah.
Ah,
oh,
ok,
absolutely. Yes.
ecco, questo
yes.
è-
We would be willing to play the video game, to be of course more prepared
Okay.
to draw the comics, of course.
That's
yeah.
my case because
Injustice.
because I worked on Injustice.
Ghosts Among Us, the beat 'em up video game.
No, Injustice, the
Yeah,
Gods Among Us.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
yes.
Yeah. Actually, I never saw the video game before working on
Yeah.
Injustice,
Yeah.
but after I started working on it, obviously I started to look on YouTube the videos from the game. I haven't the PlayStation, but I obviously I tried to learn as
much
things
as
as much as possible about the video games, because obviously if you want to make a good job, you have to really well understand what you are doing. Otherwise, when you draw it, you can do something weird, strange, for the people that instead knows very well the video game. So you have to keep your eyes really open to do a good job.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have another question. If you guys had the opportunity to work together on a comic project, is it something that you would enjoy? And what, and this is pure fantasy here, but potentially what would it be that you would both enjoy working on together
Well,
as artists?
I think I would enjoy. I don't know if you can enjoy working with me.
Yes.
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 You have to say that.
Well-
you won't go home. Okay, say yes.
Maybe
Yes.
I sit over there, maybe.
No, yes, yes. I have to say that in the work, just like in the life,
God.
we work well, very well.
Yeah, we have a
I
sort
have
of
to say.
symbiosis.
Yeah.
Yes.
work
For
together.
example, I can say that because, for example, when we work in our projects,
Yes.
many times I go to her in
For
her
advice?
studios.
Or
Yes.
To say, what do you think of this? It's,
Yes, she does the same
Yeah.
for
Yes,
me.
we do the same.
Because
Okay.
it is very important to have a different point of
fresh
view.
eye
a
that-
fresh
yeah.
eye
Yes,
that
definitely.
tells to you this is wrong, this is good.
yes.
It's very, very important because when you pass a lot of time on a page, on an illustration, you start to lost your sense of
Yeah.
critic,
Perspective, exactly. Yeah.
your
Yeah.
perspective.
Yes.
So if someone else arrives with a fresh eye and say
Mm.
to you, this is
Yeah.
wrong, this leg is short, is a
Yes, but
it's very important. But
sorry.
I
I'm the
know.
one. Sorry.
And if we worked together in
Yes.
something, I think that it could be the same things.
No, the thing is that if we put apart the feelings, and when we are working, we are like robots.
Really?
Yeah.
You just get your head down and you just draw.
If I had to say something to him, I wait the end of the convention to see.
Yes.
to say
Really?
something. To kill him. Okay, if I have to kill him, I will kill
Yes.
him later. I have to finish a commission first. I have a commission to do. I have plenty of
It's more
commission
important
to
than
wrap
killing
up. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So we will work together.
So that's the
very
professionalism
well.
of it.
Yeah, we're very, very professional, because if you want to stay with a person doing the same job, you have to be very
Of
professional.
course.
Yes, yes.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Any
that's
other
true.
questions for anyone else from the audience? I think we may well wrap it up. Listen, thank you to both of you. Thanks
Oh,
to
thank
Mark.
you,
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank you.
guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, really,
That's all right then.
fantastic.